Well, good morning, everybody. It's Daybreak at iFiber One News Radio. On the phone line, I'm happy to talk with Derek Kilmer, U.S. Representative from Washington's 6th District. Good morning, Derek.
Hey, great to be with you.
Always nice talking with you. Good seeing you at Oyster Fest the other weekend. That's always a lot of fun.
I was incredibly stuffed when I ran into you.
It always seems to be that way at Oyster Fest.
We had a great time, though. It was very fun. I got to time shucking. I got to pour beer with the local Rotary Club, and I got to eat a tremendous amount of shellfish. So
it sounds like you hit all the mains there at Oyster Fest.
Amen.
Let's talk about some of the things going on here. There's just so many different ways and roads we can go down. Let's start with the recent push for what appears to be an increased sense of transparency when it comes to political advertising on social media. The rules there are different than for us in radio and TV, but it looks like there's a little bit of a push to kind of equalize those.
Yeah, this is something that I've really been working on, in part because I think the public has a right to know who is trying to influence elections and how. And you're absolutely right. Right now, if someone buys an ad on your station, there's transparency. The public actually has an opportunity to see how much they've purchased and who's purchased what. And that's true with TV broadcasts. That's true with radio broadcasts. That is not currently true when it comes to online ads. And yet we know from this last election that more and more political spending has migrated into the online space. And unfortunately, you've seen some foreign actors now try to meddle in our system. You know, you've seen thousands of dollars spent on thousands of ads with Google and Facebook. And right now there is no opportunity for the public to know who's buying what in that domain. And so I've just introduced a bill that's both bipartisan and bicameral. It's myself and a congressman from Colorado, a Republican named Kaufman, and then on the Senate side, it's a couple Democrats and Senator John McCain to really modernize the rules and make sure that these rules apply to the online domain, and importantly, to make sure that we're keeping foreign money out of our politics.
Mm-hmm. Does it seem like with all the both chambers' support and both parties' support that this could get somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, this afternoon, and part of the reason I'm a little more pressed for time is there's going to be a hearing of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and this is the subject, looking at these issues around foreign actors spending money in our political system. And, you know, the bill we've introduced is going to be, you know, really front and center in that regard. So that gives me hope that, you know, my interest is in, you know, not making a statement. I want to make a law that protects, you know, the American people and protects our democratic republic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think, on a side note here, that we'll ever get a chance to see the ads from, I don't know, we'll say Facebook regarding last year's election if it comes out?
Yeah, I do. You know, my sense is, you know, obviously there's a lot of investigation happening right now, and you're starting to see some testimony, you know, from both Google and Facebook where most of this online political spending happens. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, we as the American people are going to have an opportunity to understand what Russia did and at what scale, you know, as these investigations continue.
Not only are there disasters going on, continued here on the coast, up and down with fires, and recent rains has helped that a little bit, but still in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of disaster recovery and relief needed. Some funding is passing the House, it sounds like.
Yeah, actually, you know, and thankfully this is one of those that was bipartisan and is making it through the system. You know, it's been a really tough few months for our country. We've seen, you know, massive wildfires. We saw, you know, just enormous damage from the hurricanes that hit Florida and Texas. Puerto Rico, you know, is still really in tough straits with, you know, a huge chunk of their population not having power. You know, a third of their public not having, you know, running water. And so there was a bipartisan bill to provide some disaster assistance to those areas that have been hit, both with hurricane, with forest fire, and to make sure that the disaster relief fund that sits under the Federal Emergency Management Agency doesn't run out of money, to make sure that they're continuing to provide help to people who need them. Now, I will mention, and we've talked about this before, we're continuing to press to make sure that the communities out on the coast that have been impacted by fisheries disasters over the last few years, that they get the assistance that they need too. And so we've had a bipartisan push to ensure that as these discussions around disasters continue, that we're not forgotten in that conversation.
One of the ways that the country will be rebuilt is from labor, from skilled laborers through electricians, through constructions and carpentry.
Yeah.
You have co-sponsored a bill to support apprenticeship programs through grants and things to provide companies for training things like this.
Yeah, I think this is one of those where we have an enormous opportunity to support working people and to grow economic opportunity, all over our state. The reality is not every job is going to require a college degree. More and more of those jobs, as you mentioned, involve apprenticeship or some sort of career-connected learning opportunities. Just this morning, we were part of a discussion back here, a bipartisan discussion around career and technical education in our K-12 schools. And then I've worked on a couple bills that, one is to expand tuition assistance for apprenticeship participants, so that if someone's participating not in a four-year college degree program, but in an apprenticeship that could lead to a job, that they're able to get some help in doing that, just like someone who goes to a four-year university can get financial aid. And then the other is another bipartisan bill that would create a tax credit for an employer that's actually trying to cover some of the education and training expenses for their employees. Again, because the nature of work is changing. You're seeing, for example, at advanced manufacturing sites where, a company could get new equipment in that requires their workers to learn something new, to, whether it be figuring out how a part works or new codes, that type of thing. And rather than having to let their current workforce go and hire someone with those skills, investing in their existing workforce, I think can be really impactful. And so we've got a bill that's bipartisan that would create a tax credit to encourage that type of investment.
You can find out more about the great work that Representative Kilmer is doing at kilmer.house.gov. Also there you can find his newsletter and some other additional information, including office locations. You have a sense of the next time you're going to be out in the district for your constituents?
Yeah, you bet. I'll be flying home late Thursday night, and we've got a full weekend of running around the district. And when I've really tried to make a point of, when Congress isn't voting on stuff, to really get home and to make sure that I'm engaging with the folks I represent. I mean, I work for you. That's how this works, and I appreciate you mentioning our website. If someone has an issue with any federal agency, if there's anything that we can do to be a good partner, I just invite folks to get in touch with us. I work for you.
Derek Kilmer, U.S. Representative for Washington's 6th District. Always nice talking with you, and have a good weekend here in the district.
Hey, thanks so much. You take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.